Boxing Truth here. I thought I'd talk about another hype job. It's been a while since I talked about Terence Crawford. He's currently in discussions with Viktor Postol for a possible unification fight for a July 23rd date that's currently penciled in on his box rec. But according to some reports, Terence Crawford's holding up his end of the deal when it comes to a potential fight with Viktor Postol. Now, I'm hearing that Postol and his team are all in. They've agreed to the terms to the bout. They are down to fight July 23rd. All they're waiting for is confirmation from Terence Crawford's side that he wants to fight, that he will sign off on it, and then the fight's the done deal. But for whatever reason, Crawford is holding up his end of the deal. Crawford's team is stalling for whatever reason. It's still relatively early. There's still a lot of time for an announcement to take place. I don't expect an announcement of this fight, if it goes down, for another few weeks, perhaps early May or mid-May the latest for an announcement to be made. But it doesn't surprise me that I'm hearing Terence Crawford is perhaps having second thoughts of signing off on this bout. I mean, through 28 fights, his manager Cameron Duncan has been very protective of him, has been very selective of his opponents. And he has yet to put him in a real fight where he doesn't have all the advantages. Now, Terence Crawford, ever since winning that 140-pound version of his belt, he has yet to make a mandatory defense of that title. Instead, he's opted to cherry pick a couple of lightweights that were somehow, some way rated by the WBO within their top 15 rankings. So WBO didn't violate the rules, but for some strange reason, two lightweights with no success at 140 pounds were rated by the WBO within the top 15. Well, perhaps Top Rank had an influence. They seem to own the WBO, get them to do things by bending their rules a little bit. So, Terence Crawford has already gotten some favorable treatment. He has yet to make a mandatory defense. It's already been over 9 months ever since he won the vacant title to Delorme, against Delorme for his second world title. And Pagar is the mandatory challenger, but he's a no-name guy from Asia, and the networks are not really interested in putting on that fight. And also, would he come as cheap as Hank Lundy and Derek John, considering he's the mandatory challenger? So, it is what it is. Terence Crawford, though, he's been very hyped by the media and HBO. Number 6 pound for pound, ahead of Manny Pacquiao. All in all, he's done is feasted on overmatched opponents, lightweights, handpicked guys, inactive fighters like Gamboa, undersized, faded Ricky Burns. Honestly, I didn't see the hype of what people were saying about Crawford when I first saw him on HBO. I mean, he kind of bored me to death, to be honest. When I saw him fight Prescott, when I saw him fight that Russian dude, Andrei Klimov, when he knocked out that hand-picked tomato cannon Alejandro Sanabria on HBO, I just didn't see what people were talking about. I didn't see the special qualities of him, or perhaps he'd be the future of boxing. People like to throw that term, very loosely. They see a young kid coming up, automatically think he's the goods. But I have yet to see that type of fight where I'm all in on Terence Crawford. He just doesn't fought those type of opponents. And in his first showcases on HBO, I wasn't impressed. I didn't see the potential of Crawford until he moved up. I mean, not moved up, until he fought Gamboa. He knocked out an undersized, inactive guy in Gamboa, who was also chinny, but had a good performance. Max Kellerman was dick riding hard during that telecast, but not a big fan of Max. But he started to look really explosive when he moved up to 140 pounds. Now, he was killing himself to make 135, so he could have the advantages of height, reach, and weight. But it wasn't until when he moved up that he started having some explosive performance against hand-picked lightweights and an overrated Thomas Delorme, who was also chinny. But all of a sudden, he's looking pretty explosive against these type of guys. And the question is the hype for real for Terence Crawford? Or is it the benefit of Top Rank's matchmaking, which is the best in the business? Hard to say. He's looked impressive in some of these fights. I can admit that. He looked impressive against Delorme. He shut down Derek John and got tagged a little too much against Hank Lundy, but was able to get him out of there. Got a good knockout performance. So he's doing his job at least against these type of opponents. But Terence Crawford has been matched very carefully. He's been protected. Very weak resume. It's arguably weaker than Triple G's. He has yet to fight a legitimate threat at either of those divisions. He's already had so many misses. I mean, he keeps this up, he might be the next Mayweather created by Top Rank. I mean, look at all the misses Mayweather had when he was moving up in weight. Same thing with Terence Crawford. He's already have a bunch of misses at lightweight. He didn't fight Rancis Bartholomew. I understand he's an Al Haymon client, so maybe he can get a pass simply because of the political divide of that fight not being made. But he also didn't fight Jorge Linares, who was a WBC belt holder at the time. Now he's going through some injuries, but he didn't fight him. He didn't fight Denis Shavikov, who's also a good fighter, promoted by Top Rank from Russia. I would have liked to seen that fight. Would have been more of a challenge than perhaps a Derek John or a Hank Lundy or a Sanibria, a Klimov. I mean, why that fight didn't happen? Both guys were Top Rank, but Shavikov might have been a little too dangerous. So Peter Petrov as well, he didn't fight him. There was just more quality opponents that he could have fought instead of the guys that he did fight that were put in front of him. And now we're hearing that, the negotiations are being stalled by Crawford's team. What's the deal? What's up with that? Crawford don't want that work with Viktor Postol? Where the Crawford fanboys at? Y'all let me know. What's up? What's up with your boy? 28 fights. He still has yet to fight the man in either division. He needs this fight. Who the hell else is he gonna fight? Provodnikov is off the table. Who else is out there? Pagara, he's already bypassed that mandatory for months. It's already been over a year since he first won the 140-pound WBO title. And he's been able to get the WBO to pretty much just say, fuck the mandatory, violate their rules. So what's the point of having that fight now, especially on a pay-per-view? You're not going to ask fans to pay $50 to fight your mandatory on pay-per-view, right? So you might as well give us a quality fight against a quality opponent, top ranked within the top 5. And according to BoxRec, you're the number 1 junior welterweight. Terence Crawford is. Viktor Postol is number 2. So, the fight is out there. There's nothing else out there. This is the fight that's on the table that can be made. Viktor Postol's side, according to them, have already agreed. Terence Crawford has avoided some threats simply because of his management team hasn't rolled the dice on these opponents. When he first became the 140-pound belt holder for the WBO, guess who his number 1 mandatory challenger was? It was Lucas Matisse. He was the number 1 contender for the WBO. But guess what happened? He didn't get that shot. And why didn't he get that shot with Crawford? Because Top Rank didn't want that work. They protected Crawford and they fed Matisse to Viktor Postol. They offered Golden Boy Matisse's promoter a vacant shot at Viktor Postol instead of a shot at Terence Crawford. He could have fought Terence Crawford and forced that mandatory, but ended up fighting Viktor Postol for the vacant WC strap. So Top Rank was able to sacrifice. Well, they were willing to sacrifice Postol in order to keep Matisse away from Crawford, and Viktor Postol ended up winning that fight. And now, where there's no other options on the table, HBO's budget is too slim to allow another fight in between, a summer fight featuring Crawford. They won't be able to lowball Viktor Postol, who's a champion. They can't offer him no 100K purse like they did Hank Lundy and a Derry John. They got to pay him a respectable purse, a reasonable purse. According to them, they're on board for the fight. I'm giving Crawford the benefit of the doubt. It's still relatively early for negotiations to be completed and an announcement to take place. But if your boy doesn't fight if your boy doesn't fight Viktor Postol, what's the excuse going to be? There's no more excuses. There's no other opponents out there. I just want to see if the hype is real. I want to see if HBO is telling me the truth. Is Ring Magazine telling me the truth? Because everyone's a lot of media, HBO's all in on this guy, but yet I look at the resume, I look at the opponents, I look at the matchmaking, and I'm very disappointed. Very protected record. A lot of hand-picked foes. It's time to fight a threat. Let's see if you're the real deal or just another hype job. But y'all let me know what y'all think. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.